Hi everyone, welcome to Brain Blitz Audios. Today we're going to be starting an exciting new series, and I hope that it's very important to all of you. So today we're going to be starting the series Memory Hacks. In this series, we're going to be telling you how to develop a superpower memory. That's right, if you're a doctor, an engineer, a student, a teacher, or even an accountant, memory is one of the most important things that you should be acquiring. And therefore, this series will be very useful for anyone who wants to develop a superpower memory. So we're going to be giving you various tips on how to develop your memory. It's like a muscle that needs training. So we're going to make your memory trained if you watch the video completely and follow our instructions. So this video has a lot of tips, so I urge you to watch all of it. So watch till the end of the video because we have some surprise tips at the end of this video. So stay tuned and watch the video completely, okay? So today is the first episode of the series, so we're going to be looking at how your keen observation matters in developing a trained memory. So this is our first chapter, how your observation is important. So let's look at observation. Observation, in simple terms, is what you register in your mind after seeing an object. Now, let's give you a simple example. Imagine that you're having a pen and you want to observe it. You remove the pen, you fiddle around with its refill, you find out the shape of its nib, the quality of the plastic, etc., etc. So you gather information from what you're seeing. So that is observation. And that's why people say that seeing and observing are very different. The difference between seeing and observing is very fundamental to many aspects of life. Observation is just more than simply seeing. It is a mental process which involves both visual aids and the work of your brain. So it involves both visual and thought. So that's why we say that observation is different from sight. And we also can prove to you that most people see whatever is around them. They do not observe. Now, let me show you how with this simple test. Now, I'm going to ask you a very simple question. In the logo of Google, what is the color of the second letter of Google? Now, you might think that this is an easy question to probably answer. But before you answer me, imagine you're in this scenario. You are at a mega quiz show. And if you answer this question, you're going to get $2 million. Now, answer me this. In the logo of Google, what is the color of the second letter of Google? If you've been able to picture yourself in the above position, you're probably hesitating now because you're not really sure which light is on top, which of the colors is present in the second letter of Google. Now, this is a perfect example of people seeing something many times a day, but they do not observe. So they are in doubt when that particular question has value. Now, to remove your doubts, the second letter O is red. So pretty easy, isn't it? And you see this logo hundreds of times a day when you're searching, but you're not observing it carefully. You're not observing which is G, which of the G's is blue, which is all of it, which of the letters are red, which of them is yellow, which of them is, what is the font, etc., etc. So that's one of the prime reasons why we say that most people see whatever is around them, but they do not observe. Because when you put them on a very important mission, which regards with something like this, then they usually have self-doubt. So then we can find out that they've seen it, but they haven't observed it. There are many other examples, such as the one with the traffic lights, etc. But the point is that we've managed to convey to you that observation is very different from sight. Now, you've probably seen this movie, right? it's Slumdog Millionaire. It's a 2008 film, and it has won the Oscars for a lot of its special effects. So the protagonist here, seated on the left, was in a quiz show called Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and he won it. And in the end, when he was captured for having to cheat, he told them how, because of him observing his experiences, he was able to answer every question. So it it struck me home because the character, he was able to observe and find out which is which around him, and then he was able to answer most of the questions raised at him, even with subterfuge, etc., happening around him. So I hope that this example and that exercise prove to you that observation is very different from seeing. There is a world of difference between seeing and observing. And by that example, you've understood that observation is one of the most important things in getting your trained memory. So if you want to have a trained memory, you have to start observing whatever is around you. It can be anything. It could be as mundane as looking at your toilet, or it could be as expensive as looking at a gold watch that you find in the marketplace. But whatever it is, start observing. Observation is one of the keystones for improving your memory. I can't stress this enough, but it is really important to start observing things around you and not just seeing. We've shown you the difference between seeing and observing. You should start looking at in detail at whatever is present around you. I hope you found this interesting. So now you know that observation is one of the most important things for improving your memory. However, there's another thing that is just as important, or sometimes even more important, and that is association. And the reason why association is important is this. When you observe something, then that is imprinted in your memory using association. And because of association, your interest grows and you want to observe more. So this cycle of observation and association ultimately helps you in getting your trained memory. Observation and association in tandem helps you improve your memory. So we've learned about observation, but the best is yet to come. Let's jump into association. So association, there aren't going to be very complicated terms in this video. We just want to explain it as we would explain to you in a living room. So how do you explain association? It's basically connecting two or more things to each other. For example, the paper clips here. You managed to connect both of them together. So now they stick together. So in terms of memory, anything that you observe, and that can be anything from your pens to your watches. So anything that you observe now has to be linked. Now, the point is that you have to link whatever you observed with something that is already present in your brain. So it may be in any way, because the brain is made out of neurons, and these neurons, when you learn something, they form new connections. So when you're learning stuff, you're basically associating the new thing into whatever you know. Because we know that everything that we learned by heart or in memory is actually the work of association. But you might think, association? I've never remembered associating something and learning. Well, you don't have to associate it consciously. Many things that we remember are actually due to something known as subconscious association. So what happens is your subconscious links something, and that can be anything, together. And what happens is that when you recall it years later, you're still able to remember that connection. So if this is going way over your head, let me give you an example. Now, if I were to ask you to give me something, any object, that kind of looks like, say, England, or maybe Denmark or Croatia, you wouldn't be really intuitive to it, right? It's kind of hard to picture anything that is like those countries, the shape of those countries. However, if I were to ask you to find something that is similar to Italy, guess what? Most of you would have thought of a boot. And the reason why is that when you look at the things together, your brain subconsciously associates the fact that Italy looks kind of like a boot. And the football fans around here would think that Sardinia and Sicily are the two balls that the boot is juggling. So in any way, you would associate the boot, which is something in your memory, into the shape of Italy, which is the new thing that you found out. So this is an example of subconscious association, and it happens to everyone. Every person has subconscious associations, and it varies from person to person. However, in trained memories, we can't influence the subconscious. What we can do is make conscious associations. So in conscious associations, what we essentially do is we take something that we want to learn and associate it with something that we already know. And we connect it together so strongly that in a future date, when somebody asks you about the thing that you've learned, you're still able to remember it. So in effect, you're making that connection in your neurons stronger by doing it consciously. And that is a very, very important phase of training your memory. You need to start linking whatever you've observed with what you already remember. And there are always conscious associations everywhere. It's not that we are giving a new thing here. People have been using conscious associations for many years now. If you've been thinking that I'm wrong, I'll give you an example, a couple of examples to help you know that we've been using associations for many years. So imagine that in high school or in middle school, your teacher is asking you to find out which of the months has 31 days and which of the months have 30. So it's kind of hard to remember at first, but then your teacher gives you this simple trick. Use your knuckles. And the bumps on the knuckles will give you the months with 31 days, and the dips, the rips would give you the months with 30 days. And it works most of the time. And you start remembering which of the months have 30 days and which of the months have 31. And since February is an off case, you would know that it has 28 or 29. So this is a very easy example of a conscious association in action. The knuckles are something that you do know, and the days of the month are the things that you need to remember. And so using this conscious association, you're still able to find out which of them has 30 and which of the months have 31 days. Let's give you a simpler example. When you're studying rainbows in your early grades, you've often used the nonsense word VIBGYOR. You may not rely on VIBGYOR nowadays, but because of using VIBGYOR at that time, you were able to know that the colors of the rainbow are violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red. And you use this nonsense word to remember it. Over time, you don't even know about the nonsense word, although you still remember it. But if anyone asks you about the 7 colors of a rainbow, you're able to remember it hands-free. So this is a powerful example of using conscious associations, and it's one of the most widely used conscious associations ever. So by these two examples, what I've been trying to prove here is that associations, along with observation, are very, very important in having your trained memory. In order to train your memory to the max, you must use observations and associations. Now, how exactly we use associations is the subject of this series. So we'll be uploading further videos from time to time, and we'll be explaining to you how do you associate in such a way that you can remember anything: names, faces, numbers, events, facts, ideas, etc. You can remember anything in order to develop a superpower memory. So before we bid adieu, here's a fun fact. The capacity of your brain is limitless. Your brain is like a muscle. A muscle, when you work on it, you start using it, it becomes more developed. Similarly, you need to use your brain in order to develop it better. And our systems here would help you to achieve that extra bit of training. So if you want to continue with us, then please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. It's Brain Blitz Audios. And please click the subscribe button and also click the notifications button down below so that you don't miss any of our videos of memory hacks. And please do like the video if you've enjoyed whatever we've said about improving your memory. And so until the next episode of Memory Hacks, take care, stay safe, ta-ta for now.